Hello, YouTube! Tonight, on my exclusive video blog on YouTube, is a career video on the late, great game show host, slash actor, slash comedian, slash singer, Peter Marshall. Peter Marshall was famous for being the master of the original Hollywood Squares game show, which lasted from 1966 through 1981. Tell you about his career. And we'll do that after these important messages. Don't forget to listen to Crystal's Time Machine each and every Friday and Saturday night from 9 to 11 p.m. on WCAP 980, where everybody gets it. Can't catch the show live. Listen to the podcast exclusively on archive.org. Goes back to October 2015. Follow Crystal on Twitter at Crystal Emmy John and Machine Crystal. Follow Crystal on YouTube at Crystal Johnson. 2 exclusive videos a week. Follow her on Facebook, the official Crystal's Time Machine Facebook page, the official Crystal's Time Machine group page and game show fan page. And follow Jen Johnson on Twitter and follow Dave Weatherman, Bruce's Frolic other page. And follow me on Twitter at Chewy7. Follow me on Instagram at Rich Sarasol. And follow me on YouTube at Rich Sarasol. 2 exclusive videos a week. And I do a lot of good stuff on these video blogs. And now, on to the feature presentation. Tonight's feature presentation is about the late actor, comedian, singer, and the master of the original Hollywood Squares, Peter Marshall, who passed away recently at the age of 98. Peter had an over 80-year career in show business. Peter was born in Clarksburg, West Virginia on March 30th, 1926 to a showbiz family, Ralph and Jean Lecoq. And Peter's birth name was Ralph Pierre Lecoq. And his sister became, her sister was an actress named Joan Lecoq. When she was born, she became Joanne Drew, who was famous for being in movies such as Red River. She wore a yellow ribbon, All the King's Men, and Wagon Master. When Peter was 10 years old, his father passed away after suicide, and Peter and his mother moved to New York because she was a costume designer. After Peter graduated from high school, he applied for a job as a page at NBC in New York, but he was drafted into the U.S. Army, and then he went to serve the United States in Italy, first in the auxiliary, and then he became a disc jockey at a radio station in Italy. He got discharged as staff sergeant from the U.S. Army in 1946, and then he went on to a career in showbiz like his family. Ralph Pierre Lecoq became Peter Marshall because Lecoq name in show business wouldn't sound right. Plus, cock is a slang term for something we will not talk about at all, but it is refers to some things I don't talk about on video blogs. And Peter Marshall started off in the entertainment career as a comedian, he became a, a comedy team with Tommy Nua, and they appeared in several nightclub acts throughout the United States and also on TV variety shows, because back in the 50s, TV variety shows were very, very big, and also several television shows and movies, which included Starlift, The Rookie, and Singing Along. And Peter also worked as a Broadway actor, um, going into a lot of them, including Skyscraper, La Cage, La Follies, and a West End London production of Bye Bye Birdie. And he met a lot of people there, who he became lifelong friends, including Julie Harris and Charles Nelson Riley. Actually, Peter did not really have a steady job when he was in Hollywood for about 15, 16 years, like com- appearing bits and parts in movies, television shows, and having supporting roles on Broadway were very good, but, it doesn't really make you an A-list celebrity. But Peter got his big break in 1966 when producers Mel Headley and Bob Quigley um, produced a pilot for a game show called Hollywood Squares. They had two pilots, first Bert Parks, and then a guy named Sandy Barron, who was actually a local comedian in New York City. But the networks did not want to air the Hollywood Squares with either of um, those men, because they were kind of well known. They wanted a non-entity who wasn't a big name. And Peter was actually recommended by Roy Amsterdam, who was on the Dick Van Dyke Show, to host the Hollywood Squares. Peter was originally not going to take a job as a game show host because he thought it would kind of affect his career in Broadway and in acting. But um, Peter wasn't that big of a name um, during that time period. But he took the job because if Peter rejected it, it would have gone to Dan Rowland, part of the comedy team, um, Rowland and Martin, who was Dick Martin, because Rowland and Martin stole comedy material from Peter Marshall and Tommy Noonan. And Tommy fell virtually ill in the 1960s. And Dick and Dan Rowland did not show respect to Tommy at all. But Dick Martin did, and Peter Marshall hated Dan Rowland for the rest of his life because of that. Dan passed away in 1987. Peter thought hosting the Hollywood Squares would be just maybe a 13-week gig that might, you know, catapult his career a little bit to get like better roles in movies, or maybe having his own television sitcom. But the Hollywood Squares was a very successful hit, and it lasted 15 years, 14 of them on NBC, and one in syndication. And the Hollywood Squares was one of the top game shows on television for many, many years. And Peter was a great host, and his Bardon with the celebrities was very, very funny. Some of the regular celebrities on the Hollywood Squares were Maury Amsterdam, Rosemary, Abby Dalton, Wally Cox, Charlie Weaver, George Gobel, and Paul Lynn as the center square. Peter won several Emmys as Best Game Show Host. He also appeared as guests on other game shows on NBC, including a Celebrity Week of Jeopardy, All-Star Baffle, The Magnificent Marble Machine. Both those shows were produced by Peter Quigley Productions. He also appeared on Match Game, Password Plus, Tattletales, and Family Feud. And even Peter's popularity of Hollywood Squares got so big that he recorded several albums as a big band singer, in which he did pretty good. And also, Peter appeared in several movies and television shows as guest stars when he was on the Hollywood Square. At the height of the Hollywood Squares popularity, Peter decided to, to put his to put his name to host a variety show, which back in the 1970s, variety shows were at its peak, and he did the Peter Marshall Variety Hour, which lasted about a half a season, and actually was getting decent ratings, but Peter was asked by the producers of the show to cut down on the music because the music rights was getting expensive, and he said no way, so they had to cancel the series. After Hollywood Squares was over in 1981, Peter then hosted other game shows, including a pot game show, hot talk show, Pro Fantasy, co-hosted by Leslie Uggam, which lasted 1 year on NBC in the 3 to 4 p.m. time slot. It got canceled and replacing it with an hour-long version of the Match Game Hollywood Squares Hour, hosted by Gene Raven and John Bauman. Peter Marshall was not asked to host the Hollywood Squares version of the Match Game Hollywood Squares Hour because he got the pink slip because Fantasy was canceled. He was a little disappointed in that. There were rumors in 1984 that Peter Marshall was going to be the host of the revived version of Name That Tune in syndication, but that went to Jim Lang. In 1985, Peter hosted All Star Blitz. It was a variation of Hollywood Square slash Battle Stars on ABC with four celebrities answering questions similar to Hollywood Square to guess a phrase. It only lasted 8 months on ABC, got trounced in the ratings by The Price is Right. Then Peter hosted a game show version of Yahtzee, which only lasted 6 months. The producers were broke, so it got canceled. Peter was set to host The Third Degree, a panel show by Bert and Bert Productions in April of 1989. That was the start of production, but Bert and Bert Productions fired Peter Marshall before he could take his first episode, replaced by Bert Convy because Bert Convy was available because they canceled Super Password. And also, Bert Convy was hosting Win, Lose, or Draw at the time, so we moved from Win, Lose, or Draw to Bert and Bert. He did not give Peter any notification about that, so Peter sued Bert and Bert Productions, but the lawsuit was dropped when Bert Convy fell ill, and Peter Marshall hated Bert Convy for that. And then Peter also appeared in several skits on In Living Color with a parody of the Hollywood Squares, the East Hollywood Squares. Peter Marshall's last game show was the Real to Real Picture Show on PAX Network, which is now high on television. It was a game show about movies with a contestant celebrity. Got decent ratings on PAX. First several weeks of shows were taped in Orlando, Florida. They were going to move production to Los Angeles, but in October of 1998, the show ended production and got canceled because the show's producers went broke. And Peter did not get paid 1 cent for his services. Don't work for charity. It was like, got mad about that. But then And afterwards, Peter continued to appear in plays and became a DJ for Music of Your Life Radio Network from 2000 to 2016. Peter wrote a book in 2002 about um, the backstage with the original Hollywood Squares. It was a bestseller. He came back as a center square for the Hollywood Squares in 2002, a week of game show week. And Peter actually hosted the Hollywood Squares on the Thursday episode. He and Tom Bergeron, the host of Hollywood Squares, switched places. And it was pretty good that Peter hosted the Hollywood Squares one more time. He continued to appear um, on television shows, reminiscing about the Hollywood Squares, and also like appearing as um, Big Bang, Big Band singer, um, documentaries for PBS, and appearing at game show conventions and Hollywood Square reunions. And Peter continued to be active into the pandemic, and then Peter got um, COVID-19 in 2021. There was a time that he was actually in hospice care and was almost going to pass away, but miraculously, Peter made a recovery. But Peter's health was in decline ever since he got COVID-19. He retired from professional um, entertainment and just spent the remaining years in declining health, making very sporadic appearances. Peter passed away of kidney failure this past Thursday afternoon, August 15, 2024, at the age of 98. Peter left behind a wife, Laurie. They were married over 35 years. That was his third wife, and she was about 35 years younger than him. He had four children, including one child, a boy, Pete Lecoq, who played 9 years in Major League Baseball for the Cubs and the Royals. He was just was basically an average player at best. And Peter's one of the last game show hosts uh, for the golden age of game shows to um, still be alive at the time of his passing, that people still remember. There's only four classic game show hosts left that are still living from the era of classic game shows. Wink Martindale, Bob Eubanks, Chuck Worley, and Pat Sajak. Peter Marshall um, wasn't wasn't really wanting to be a game show host. He took the job out of spite, but he became one of the best of doing it, and the Hollywood Squares probably launched his career to be a singer and being on the Music of Your Life DJ. It's just very sad. Um, Peter's hosting um, of the Hollywood Squares was one of the best, and unfortunately, most of the original Hollywood Squares have been wiped out. NBC wiped out most of the daytime version, but the syndicated version of the Hollywood Squares, they had a nighttime version that ran from 1971 to 1980. Most of those episodes survived, and also the 1980 to 81 version of the Hollywood Squares, which was filmed in Las Vegas, survived. And actually, Game Show Network had the rights to the 1971 to 1981 version of the Hollywood Squares, but they only showed 150 of them in 2002 to 2003 time period because of some of the jokes became kind of dated, and plus they would have had to get celebrity clearances from the stars who were on the Hollywood Squares during that time period, and many of the celebrities who were still alive just did not want to clear the game show appearances. It's too bad because I bet there's probably more than 150 episodes that people would really enjoy. And who knows, maybe the whole entire NBC run of the Hollywood Squares somehow got saved with Master Coffee. You never know. Maybe it's hiding in a vault somewhere, but I'm not going to hold my breath for that. That's about it on that. Thank you for all your support. Comment, like, and subscribe. I hope to see you back here next time. Bye now.